Have you ever found yourself relying too much on others, only to feel helpless when they're not around? What would happen if everything you knew was stripped away, and you had to survive alone? Can you truly stand strong when the world feels like it's crumbling? These are tough questions, aren't they? But they are vital ones, especially in a world that constantly tests our resilience. Imagine this. You're walking through a busy street, surrounded by the noise of life. People rushing by, everyone caught up in their own world. But in that moment, you suddenly realize something. You are alone. No one is going to carry you. You have no choice but to rely on yourself. How would you feel? Would you panic? Or would you find strength in your own silence? Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where today we delve into a powerful concept: always be ready to survive alone. In this video, we'll explore how you can tap into the strength of your own mind, just like the great teachings of Buddhism guide us to do. We'll discover how to live with resilience, find peace in solitude, and how to stand strong, no matter what comes your way. Now, before we begin, I want to ask something important. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So, please, if this video speaks to you, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us, and it helps us bring more valuable wisdom to you. So don't miss out. Are you ready to find the strength you didn't know you had? Let's dive in and embrace the journey of becoming truly independent, drawing from the deep wisdom of Buddhism to survive and thrive on your own. The illusion of dependency. In the world we live in, most of us are taught to rely on others. From the moment we are born, we depend on our parents, teachers, and even society to show us the way. Our lives are often built around the idea that we need others to survive, to succeed, to feel happy. But is this true? Can we truly find happiness and peace by relying on the outside world? In Buddhism, there is a fundamental teaching about attachment and dependency. The Buddha teaches that attachment to anything, people, things, or even our own desires, leads to suffering. Why? Because everything in this world is impermanent. People change, situations shift, and things break. If we rely too much on these things, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The truth is, we can never truly control the outside world, but we can control how we respond to it. We can train our minds to find peace, no matter what happens. Think about your own life. How often do you find yourself dependent on others for your happiness? Perhaps you rely on a friend for comfort, a partner for love, or a job for stability. And when these things are no longer there, how do you feel? Do you feel lost, empty, or uncertain? This feeling of emptiness comes from the illusion of dependency. The truth is, you have everything you need inside you already. You are capable of standing strong, even in the toughest times. Buddhism teaches us that true strength comes from within. It's not about being able to control everything around us, but about being able to remain steady in the face of change. It's about letting go of the need for constant reassurance from others and finding peace in ourselves. When you stop relying on others to make you feel secure, you start to tap into a deeper strength, a strength that no one can take away from you. Now, this doesn't mean that we should isolate ourselves from others or stop seeking help when we need it. Relationships and community are important, but they should not be the source of our happiness or security. Instead, we should view others as companions on our journey, not as the foundation of our existence. When you understand this, you begin to see that the true source of strength is not external but internal. Consider the way a tree stands firm in a storm. The wind blows fiercely, the rain pours down, but the tree does not bend or break. It stands tall because its roots are deep in the earth. If a tree were to rely on the wind for support, it would be blown away. But by grounding itself, by standing firm in its own strength, it remains unshaken. This is how we must learn to live. Our strength must come from within, from a deep sense of inner peace and stability. When we live with the understanding that we are the ones who must carry ourselves through life, we start to feel a profound sense of freedom. We no longer feel trapped by our need for others' approval or by the fear of being abandoned. We realize that we are capable of walking through life alone, not because we want to be isolated, but because we trust ourselves to handle whatever comes our way. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." This is the essence of learning to survive alone. It's not about rejecting the world or withdrawing from it, but about cultivating a deep sense of self-love and self-reliance. When you can truly love yourself, you no longer need to depend on others for validation. You can stand firm, knowing that you are enough, just as you are. But how do we begin this process? How do we let go of the illusion of dependency and start relying on ourselves? The first step is awareness. We must begin to notice when we are seeking external sources of security, whether it's approval, possessions, or relationships. Ask yourself, why am I seeking this? Do I truly need it to be happy? Or is it just a temporary fix to fill a deeper need? Once you become aware of these patterns, you can start to shift your focus inward. Start by practicing mindfulness. Take time each day to sit quietly and observe your thoughts. Notice when you feel anxious or uncertain and recognize that these feelings are often linked to external things or people. When you are able to detach from these external sources of security, you begin to experience a sense of inner peace. You start to realize that everything you need to be happy and strong is already inside you. Another way to build self-reliance is by cultivating gratitude. When you focus on the things you are grateful for, you begin to appreciate the richness of your own life, regardless of what's happening around you. Gratitude helps you shift your perspective from what's missing to what's already present. It allows you to see that you are already whole and complete, just as you are. As you practice mindfulness and gratitude, you will begin to feel more grounded and connected to yourself. You will start to notice that you no longer need external validation to feel worthy or secure. You will begin to trust yourself more deeply, knowing that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. And in this trust, you will find freedom. You will no longer be trapped by the need for others or the fear of being alone. You will be free to live life on your own terms. This is the power of self-reliance. It is not about rejecting the world, but about embracing your own strength. It is about realizing that you are your own best companion. When you learn to trust yourself and let go of the illusion of dependency, you open the door to a life of peace, resilience, and true freedom. The next time you face a challenge, remember, you are not alone. You have everything you need within you to survive and thrive. Trust in your own strength, and you will find that nothing can shake you. Detachment, finding freedom and letting go. Imagine holding onto a rope that pulls you towards something you think you need. The tighter you grip it, the more it drags you along, even though it brings you no peace. What if you let go of that rope? What if you stop clinging to things that no longer serve you? In the teachings of Buddhism, this is called detachment, and it holds the key to true freedom. Detachment does not mean turning away from the world or abandoning the things we care about. It's about understanding that nothing in this world is permanent. The moment we start to cling too tightly to anything, a relationship, a job, an idea of ourselves, we begin to tie ourselves to it. We believe that these things define us, that we can't be happy without them. But the truth is, this attachment only leads to suffering. In the end, everything we hold on to will slip away. People change, circumstances shift, and life moves on. When we cling to these things as though they are a lifeline, we become trapped in a cycle of longing, disappointment, and fear. Buddhism teaches us that detachment is the path to liberation. By letting go, we can move through life with grace and ease. We don't have to hold on to everything. Instead, we can let life unfold naturally, without the weight of unnecessary attachments. It's a deep form of trust, trusting that we don't need to control everything around us, that we can be content with what comes and what goes. Think of a tree in the wind. It bends and sways with the breeze, but it doesn't try to hold on to the air. It doesn't resist change. It simply moves with it. This is what detachment looks like. It's not about pushing away things that come into our lives. It's about allowing them to come, letting them teach us what they will, and then letting them go when the time comes. The tree doesn't mourn the loss of a leaf. It doesn't grieve the change of seasons. It knows that each phase is part of life's natural flow. When we practice detachment, we open ourselves to a more peaceful, joyful life. The things we thought we needed, the things we thought defined us, no longer control us. Instead, we become free. Free to live without the fear of losing something that was never truly ours in the first place. This is where true strength lies, not in holding on, but in letting go. This might sound difficult at first. After all, the world teaches us to grab onto what we can, to accumulate, to possess. But Buddhism shows us a different way. It's not about renouncing everything or abandoning our responsibilities. It's about recognizing that our happiness doesn't depend on external things. No matter what we lose, we still have everything we need within us. In life, we are often attached to certain expectations. We expect people to act a certain way, situations to unfold a particular way. When those expectations aren't met, we feel disappointed, angry, or frustrated. But the key to freedom is understanding that life doesn't follow our plans. It has its own rhythm, its own timing. Detachment is not about shutting off desires, but rather understanding that we don't have to control the outcome. We can do our best, but we must allow life to unfold on its own terms. Take a moment to reflect. Think of something in your life that you feel very attached to. Perhaps it's a dream you're chasing, or an idea of how things should be. Now, imagine what would happen if you let go of that attachment. What would happen if you stopped worrying about the future, stopped forcing things to go your way? Can you feel the relief? The peace that comes with simply letting go? This is the essence of detachment. It's not about ignoring reality or pretending that we don't care. It's about acknowledging that our happiness does not depend on the things outside of us. It comes from within. Once we learn to detach, we begin to see the world more clearly. We no longer hold onto the fleeting things, and we are able to experience life as it truly is, beautiful, unpredictable, and constantly changing. One of the most powerful aspects of detachment is how it helps us face suffering. In life, we all face pain, loss, and disappointment. This is inevitable, but when we are detached, we don't allow these moments to define us. We experience them, we learn from them, and then we let them go. We don't hold on to grief or regret because we understand that they are just passing clouds in the sky of our minds. We don't need to identify with them. We are not our pain. This practice of detachment also helps us develop compassion. When we are less attached to our own desires, we become more open to the needs of others. We are able to listen without judgment, help without expectation, and love without conditions. We don't give because we expect something in return. We give because it is in our nature to do so. And when we let go of our attachments to the outcome of our actions, we can truly be present for others without any hidden agendas. As we continue on this journey of life, detachment helps us see that we are not alone. We are all connected. The same impermanence that affects our own lives touches everything around us. Understanding this brings us peace. We can look at others with understanding and compassion, knowing that we are all walking the same path of change and growth. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment is often tied to the idea of mindfulness, being present in each moment, fully experiencing life as it is, without clinging to the past or worrying about the future. When we let go of our need to control, we can be fully present for whatever life offers us. We stop grasping at things that aren't meant to stay, and we start living with an open heart, free from the burden of attachment. Detachment doesn't mean that we stop caring. It means that we care without becoming obsessed or consumed by our desires. We act with intention, without holding on to the outcome. We give, we love, we work, but we don't bind ourselves to the results. Life flows naturally when we let it go where it wants to go. The true power of detachment lies in its ability to free us from the cycles of suffering that arise from attachment. It's not about escaping life. It's about living it more fully. When we stop clinging to things, we begin to see the beauty in everything, even in the most difficult moments. We find peace not because life is perfect, but because we have learned to accept it as it is. As you walk through your day, practice this simple act of letting go. Notice the things that you are holding on to, the things that are causing you stress or frustration. Take a deep breath and release them. In that moment, you will feel lighter, freer, and more connected to the world around you. This is the path of detachment, the path that leads to true freedom and peace. In the end, the most important thing to remember is that detachment is not about renouncing the world. It's about embracing it fully, without fear or resistance. When you learn to let go, you will find that you are never truly alone. You are always connected to the flow of life, to the beauty of each moment, to the wisdom that lies within you. And in that freedom, you will discover a strength that is deeper than anything you could have imagined. The art of mindful preparation. In life, many of us rush through our days, constantly thinking of what's next. We think that success lies in doing more, being faster, and preparing for the next big thing. But what if true preparation isn't about racing ahead? What if it's about being present in every moment, being mindful of the now? This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, the ability to prepare for life, not by constantly worrying about the future, but by living each moment with awareness and clarity. Mindful preparation means being fully aware of the present moment, not in a state of fear or anxiety about what may happen tomorrow. It's about understanding your needs, your mind, and your body, so that when life challenges you, you are ready. When you are mindful, you don't need to worry about what's coming. You trust that you will be prepared because you have taken the time to understand yourself and the world around you. In Buddhism, there's a teaching known as the middle path. It's about balance, not extremes. We often think that to prepare for life, we need to control every little detail, but that creates tension and anxiety. Instead, mindfulness teaches us that preparation is about learning how to be calm, centered, and grounded no matter what life brings. Preparation comes from knowing how to deal with change, how to flow with life's uncertainties, not resist them. Imagine this. You're standing by a river and the current is strong. You could try to fight against it, but you'll quickly become exhausted. Instead, you learn to move with the flow. You prepare by understanding the current, the way the water moves, and how to move along with it, rather than fighting against it. This is the wisdom of mindful preparation, learning to be at peace with change and uncertainty, rather than letting it overwhelm you. In practical terms, mindful preparation means taking time each day to check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? What is your mind telling you? What are your physical needs? When you practice mindfulness, you begin to notice the small signs that tell you what you need to do to be ready for whatever life may bring. You learn to stay grounded in the present, knowing that when the time comes, you will have the clarity and focus to take action. For example, let's say you face a sudden challenge. It could be anything: a difficult conversation, an unexpected problem at work, or a personal setback. If you've been practicing mindfulness, you don't panic. Instead, you take a moment to breathe. You observe your feelings without judgment. You ask yourself, what is the best response in this situation? The answer might come slowly at first, but because you've cultivated mindfulness, you are able to act with wisdom and calm. This kind of preparation doesn't happen overnight. It requires practice, patience, and a willingness to face each moment fully, without distraction. But over time, you begin to build a strong foundation within yourself. The more you practice mindfulness, the more resilient you become. You start to see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and understanding. When you are prepared in this way, you no longer fear being alone or facing the unknown. You trust yourself, your abilities, and your understanding of the world around you. You learn that true preparation isn't about acquiring endless tools or resources. It's about cultivating a deep sense of inner peace and self-awareness. Let's take a simple example. Think about a day when you feel overwhelmed. You may have many tasks, responsibilities, and worries. However, if you take a moment to breathe, to observe how you're feeling without rushing to fix everything, you begin to realize that the pressure you feel is a product of your mind. When you quiet the mind, you see things clearly. You may still have many things to do, but you no longer feel burdened by them. You've prepared yourself mentally and emotionally for the day ahead. You're ready. In Buddhism, this is the practice of right action, acting with wisdom, clarity, and mindfulness. It is the ability to face any situation with calmness, regardless of the circumstances. True preparation is not just about the external. It's about the inner readiness to face life with an open heart and a clear mind. When we practice this kind of preparation, we find that we are not overwhelmed by what comes our way. Instead, we meet each moment with a sense of purpose and inner strength. This preparation also teaches us about letting go of expectations. We often prepare for life's challenges with specific outcomes in mind, imagining how things should go. But when we let go of these rigid expectations, we allow ourselves to be open to whatever arises. This doesn't mean we don't plan or think ahead. It means that we don't cling to our plans so tightly that we become anxious when things don't go as expected. Instead, we flow with life's natural rhythms, adapting to whatever comes our way. There's also a key aspect of mindful preparation that involves knowing when to step back. Sometimes, the best way to prepare is not by doing more, but by doing less. It's about giving yourself the space to recharge, to reflect, and to be still. In Buddhism, this is seen in the practice of meditation. When we sit quietly and observe our thoughts without judgment, we create space within ourselves. This space is where true preparation happens. In stillness, we find the answers we seek, the strength we need, and the clarity to move forward. As you continue on your journey, remember that mindful preparation is a lifelong practice. You will face many challenges, and you will make mistakes along the way. But every step you take towards mindfulness is a step towards becoming stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for whatever life throws your way. Trust in the process and trust in yourself. Because when you are mindful, you are always ready. In the end, the art of preparation is not about creating a perfect plan or controlling everything in your life. It is about cultivating a deep trust in your ability to respond to life with wisdom, clarity, and compassion. With each passing day, you grow more attuned to the present moment, more aware of your thoughts and feelings, and more capable of navigating life's uncertainties. And that, ultimately, is the true meaning of being prepared. Strength through simplicity. In the quiet of the morning, when the world is still, there is a great lesson to be learned. It is not in the noise, nor in the clutter of life, that true strength is found. Rather, it is in the simplicity of being. When you strip away the unnecessary, what remains is the pure essence of who you are. This is where your true power lies. Consider the trees in a forest. They do not boast of their height or strength. They simply stand, rooted in the earth, their branches reaching out to the sky. The tree does not rush. It does not compete with the others around it. It grows steadily, grounded in its purpose. Its strength comes not from striving, but from simply being what it was meant to be. In the same way, the practice of simplicity in life allows us to stand firm, no matter what challenges come our way. When you learn to live with less, you make room for more. More peace, more clarity, more strength. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to material things and desires weakens us. It pulls us away from the present moment, distracting us from the stillness where true strength is found. Look at the monks who live in monasteries. Their lives are simple. They wake before dawn, meditate, eat modestly, and focus on their breathing. They do not fill their lives with distractions. They do not seek to impress others or acquire more than they need. They understand that true strength is found not in accumulation, but in the ability to be content with less. So, ask yourself, how much of your life is filled with unnecessary clutter? How much of your energy is spent chasing after things that do not bring you lasting peace? The path to true strength is not about gathering things, but about shedding them. It's about focusing on what truly matters and letting go of the rest. When you embrace simplicity, you begin to see that your strength doesn't come from your possessions, your status, or the approval of others. It comes from within. It is your ability to remain calm and steady when the world around you is chaotic. It is your capacity to find peace in the midst of turmoil. Buddhism speaks of the middle way, the balance between indulgence and asceticism. This is not a call for complete renunciation, but for a life that is free from unnecessary attachment. It is about recognizing that true happiness does not lie in the things we acquire, but in the way we approach life. The more we simplify, the more we are able to connect with our true nature. Think about your daily life. How often do you find yourself rushing around, trying to keep up with the demands of the world? How many times have you felt overwhelmed by the weight of your responsibilities? Now, imagine what would happen if you could strip away just a few of those distractions. If you could step back and focus on what truly matters, what would that feel like? This is the power of simplicity. It is the ability to focus on the present moment, to engage fully with whatever is before you, without the weight of unnecessary worries. It is the strength that comes from living without attachment, from being at peace with who you are and where you are. The Buddha, in his teachings, emphasized the importance of mindfulness and awareness. When we live simply, we can pay attention to the present moment without being overwhelmed by distractions. We become more attuned to the world around us. We notice the beauty in a simple flower, the sound of birds in the morning, the feel of the wind on our skin. In this stillness, we find the strength to endure. One of the key aspects of living simply is learning to let go of the need to control everything. We often spend so much energy trying to make life go our way, chasing after success, recognition, or possessions, that we forget that life itself is impermanent. Things change, people change, our circumstances change. The more we cling to them, the more we suffer. Simplicity teaches us to accept things as they are, without needing to force them into a mold. True strength lies in this acceptance. It is the courage to face life without the need for constant validation or the pursuit of more. It is the wisdom to know that we have enough, just as we are. When we stop seeking to fill the emptiness with things or achievements, we begin to discover a peace that was always there. Living simply also means letting go of the constant noise in our minds. How often do you find your thoughts racing, worrying about the past or the future? The practice of simplicity allows us to quiet that inner noise. When we simplify our lives, we create space for stillness. And in that stillness, we find clarity and strength. Consider the practice of meditation. It is a simple act, sitting quietly, focusing on the breath. Yet in its simplicity, it is incredibly powerful. Meditation helps us tune out the distractions of the world and connect with our inner selves. It teaches us that true strength is not in doing more, but in being more, being fully present in the moment, without judgment or attachment. As you simplify your life, you begin to notice that the things that once seemed important no longer hold the same power over you. The endless pursuit of more becomes less appealing. You start to value peace, clarity, and contentment. You realize that the most powerful thing you can do is to be at ease with yourself, just as you are. This is the strength that comes from simplicity. It is not a strength that is loud or forceful. It is a quiet strength, rooted in stillness. It is the ability to weather any storm with calmness and grace. It is the understanding that you do not need to have everything in the world to be strong. All you need is to be yourself, to be present, and to let go of what no longer serves you. In every moment, you have the power to choose simplicity. You have the choice to stop chasing after things that do not bring you peace. You have the power to strip away the distractions, to focus on what truly matters. And in doing so, you will find the strength to survive, to thrive, and to live a life that is truly yours. So, take a moment right now. Look around you. What can you let go of? What can you simplify? How can you create space for true strength to emerge? The power is in your hands. Embrace simplicity and discover the strength that lies within you. Resilience and the middle path. Life, dear one, is full of challenges. We cannot escape them. Some days, the weight of the world feels unbearable. The storms of life seem too strong, and we wonder how we can continue. But there is a truth, a powerful teaching that can guide us through these trials: resilience. It is the ability to bend but not break, to face adversity and still stand tall. And it is this resilience that is nurtured through the wisdom of the middle path. The middle path, as taught by the Buddha, is not a simple road. It is not a path of extremes, but a way of balance. Imagine walking on a tightrope, too much leaning to the left, and you will fall. Too much leaning to the right, and the same happens. To remain on that rope, you must find your center, your balance. In life, the middle path teaches us to neither grasp at pleasure nor avoid pain. It shows us how to face everything with a calm heart, how to endure without becoming overwhelmed, and how to live in harmony with what comes our way. But resilience, as we understand it in the Buddhist way, is not about avoiding suffering. It is about transforming it. Life is full of difficulty, and often, our first instinct is to escape or avoid it. We resist. We wish things were different. But this resistance, this desire to change what is what causes us suffering in the first place. The true practice of resilience is not about pushing away the tough moments. It is about accepting them with an open heart. When we embrace difficulties with this mindset, we no longer see them as threats. We see them as opportunities for growth, for transformation. Look at the bamboo. It is flexible, bending with the wind, but it does not break. It is rooted deep in the earth, yet it moves with the forces of nature. When a storm comes, the bamboo does not fight the wind. It flows with it. This is how we can be, strong yet flexible, grounded yet open to change. Our resilience, like the bamboo, grows when we learn to bend with the winds of life without losing our strength. Resilience also means knowing when to rest. In Buddhism, we speak of the importance of rest and recovery. Life is not a constant battle. It is a cycle of effort and rest, action and stillness. Just as a plant needs both sunlight and darkness to grow, we too need moments of peace and stillness to cultivate our inner strength. Without rest, we become weak and our resilience falters. So, do not think that resilience is about fighting non-stop. It is about knowing when to retreat, when to pause, and when to gather your energy. The practice of mindfulness helps us build resilience. By being present in each moment, we learn to respond to challenges calmly. When a difficulty arises, we do not react impulsively. Instead, we pause and observe. We notice our thoughts, our emotions, and our physical sensations. We simply observe them without judgment, without attachment. In that stillness, we find clarity, and from that clarity, we find strength. Resilience is also cultivated through compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We judge ourselves for our mistakes, for our weaknesses. But resilience grows when we learn to be kind to ourselves, to treat ourselves with the same compassion we would offer to a friend. Life is not about being perfect. It is about learning, growing, and evolving. When we are compassionate with ourselves, we give ourselves the space to grow, to learn from our failures, and to rise again with renewed strength. In the same way, we must learn to accept the impermanence of life. Everything changes. Every joy, every sorrow, every moment of happiness will pass. Resilience is knowing that no matter how difficult the moment is, it too shall pass. Just as the sun sets and rises again, so will your hardships come and go. When we accept this impermanence, we no longer fear change. We can face life's ups and downs with equanimity, knowing that nothing is permanent and all things are subject to the flow of time. The middle path teaches us to avoid the extremes of indulgence and denial. It is not about pushing ourselves to the limit, nor is it about retreating into comfort. True resilience lies in living with moderation, in finding the balance between effort and ease. If we constantly push ourselves too hard, we burn out. But if we avoid challenges, we never grow. The middle path shows us how to live in the sweet spot between these extremes, where we can build our resilience without exhausting ourselves. The key to resilience is not in avoiding difficulties, but in facing them with a clear mind and a compassionate heart. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to grow, to strengthen our spirit, and to build our character. When we embrace these challenges with courage, we become more than we were before. We become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, when the storms of life come, and they will come, remember the teachings of the middle path. Do not fight the wind. Do not resist the rain. Instead, bend like the bamboo. Stand firm in your roots, and know that this too shall pass. Through mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance, you will build a resilience that nothing can break. You will not just survive, you will thrive. The wisdom of solitude. In the quiet of the mountains, a wise monk sits by the river, alone. He is not lonely. He is not seeking company. He has everything he needs within him: the sounds of nature, the rush of the water, the wind in the trees. These are his companions. In solitude, he finds peace. You see, solitude is not something to fear. It is a gift, a chance to reconnect with yourself, to discover who you truly are beyond the noise of the world. In the quiet, away from the distractions of society, you can hear your own thoughts clearly. You can feel your own emotions without the influence of others. You can begin to understand the deeper truths of life. This is why the wise monks of old would retreat into the mountains, to embrace solitude, not as a punishment, but as a path to enlightenment. But in today's world, we have forgotten this wisdom. We are surrounded by people, always connected to the internet, always busy, always seeking the next distraction. It's easy to lose touch with ourselves. It's easy to forget how to be still. But true strength comes from being comfortable with yourself, from learning to find peace in your own company. Solitude is where you can find clarity. When you are alone, there is no one else to please, no one else to impress, no one else to hold you back. You can listen to your heart without the noise of others drowning it out. You can see the world as it truly is, without the filter of social expectations. In solitude, you are free. Free to think, free to feel, free to simply be. When we embrace solitude, we can learn to become our own best friend. We stop looking outside of ourselves for approval or validation. Instead, we learn to find peace within. The teachings of Buddhism emphasize this. Finding refuge in yourself, relying on your inner wisdom, trusting your own strength. It is only in solitude that we can cultivate this deep trust. Think of a lotus flower. It grows in the muddy waters, away from the distractions of the world. Yet, it blooms beautifully, untouched by the muck around it. It stands alone, but it is not lonely. It is whole in itself. This is the power of solitude. It allows you to grow, to bloom into the person you are meant to be, free from the influence of others, free from the noise of the world. When you are alone, you are not weak. You are strong. It is in solitude that you learn what you are truly capable of. The mind, when not distracted, becomes sharp. The heart, when not cluttered with the needs of others, becomes clear. You start to see the world differently. You start to see the truth of who you are and what you are capable of achieving. Sometimes, we fear being alone because we think we are missing something. We think we need others to feel complete. But this is a misunderstanding. You are already whole. You are already enough. You do not need anyone else to complete you. You are already complete, just as you are. Solitude helps you remember this. In the silence, you can hear your own inner wisdom. The distractions of the world fall away, and you are left with the pure essence of who you are. This is why monks and wise teachers often seek solitude. It is not because they dislike others, but because in solitude, they can listen more deeply to the wisdom within themselves. And this wisdom, when nurtured, becomes a guide for living a peaceful and fulfilled life. When we begin to understand the power of solitude, we realize that we do not need to depend on others for our happiness or strength. We can find these qualities within ourselves. This is a powerful realization, and it is one of the key teachings of Buddhism. The Buddha taught that true happiness comes from within, and that we must cultivate our own inner peace before we can truly connect with others. But solitude is not about avoiding the world. It is not about withdrawing from life or rejecting others. It is about finding balance. It is about being able to stand strong and grounded within yourself, even when the world around you is chaotic. It is about being able to connect with others from a place of strength, not from a place of neediness or dependence. When we spend time in solitude, we learn to be comfortable with silence. We learn that silence is not empty, but full. In the silence, there is space for new thoughts to arise, new insights to emerge. In the silence, there is room for peace. And in that peace, there is strength. You do not need to be constantly surrounded by noise or activity to feel alive. You do not need to be constantly busy to be important. You can find strength in doing nothing, in simply being. In the quiet moments of life, there is room for growth, for clarity, for peace. Solitude teaches you this. When you embrace solitude, you stop seeking distractions. You stop running away from yourself. You begin to understand that you are enough, just as you are. You begin to see that all the answers you seek are already within you. You begin to trust yourself more deeply, and in doing so, you begin to trust the world around you. But how do you begin to embrace solitude? The first step is simply to create space for it. Start by spending time alone each day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Sit in silence, observe your thoughts, listen to your breath. Allow yourself to be present with yourself, without any distractions. Over time, you will begin to feel the power of solitude. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to connect with your deeper self. You have the chance to reflect on your life, to examine your thoughts, and to see things clearly. This is a gift that solitude gives you, the ability to step back from the busyness of life and to gain perspective. And it is in this perspective that you will find your true strength. So, the next time you find yourself alone, don't be afraid. Don't see it as a burden. See it as an opportunity to grow. See it as a chance to discover the wisdom within you. In solitude, you are not isolated. You are simply connecting with your truest self. And when you do this, you will discover a strength and peace that can never be taken away. Remember, solitude is not about escaping the world. It is about finding a deeper connection with yourself. It is about learning to stand strong in the face of life's challenges, no matter how tough they may be. And in doing so, you will find that you are never truly alone. You are always with yourself, and that is enough.